All right. Welcome back, everybody. Azure AI Connect 2025, day three of this amazing collection of speakers and events. Uh, we continue as usual. Now we have our next speaker already with us. We have Tashar Bhatti. If I am pronouncing the name wrong, he will correct me. And we have the session titled Unleash the Power, Crafting Agentic AI .NET Apps with Autogen Framework. Now, here is something that I'm very excited to see, Autogen Framework. I have tried so many times to engage with Autogen, but always something happens and I leave it for the next day. And now the day has come for Tashwar to explain everything to us, and I'm so grateful. Let me bring Tashwar on the stage. Hello, my friend.
Hello,
Welcome.
Kalispera, I think, right?
Kalispera, Kalispera.
So yeah,
Thank
you were
you,
right. My name is Taz Warbati. Yeah, that's
Tashwar,
correct.
but yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you so much for being here with us. We are so grateful that you can deliver the session. Um, Let me ask you if you don't mind. Where are you
sure.
calling from, Tashwar?
I'm actually calling from Istanbul. We're neighbors.
Istanbul.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so your name is Turkish, is that correct?
No, my name is not Turkish actually. My
Yeah, it's
wife
not
is
Turkish.
Turkish,
Okay, okay,
but
okay.
I'm
Oh,
not
your
Turkish.
wife.
Yeah,
Yeah. Istanbul, such a great city.
exactly.
We will plan a trip very soon with my wife. We've been to Izmir in last summer, and we plan to visit Istanbul hopefully this year.
Sure. Let me know, and then we could maybe have a drink or something.
Yeah, absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah,
So again, thank you for being here with us. So Autogen, right? Crafting Agentic AI.NET with Autogen.
correct.
How long have you been engaged with AI at .NET?
I actually started in 2020. No, 2000 and yeah, 20. I
Yeah.
was actually before that I was in security,
All right.
and then I was doing some AI too. It was intriguing, and then like 2020 is actually I took the Coursera course from
Yeah.
NUNG, like Nduang, and I
Yeah.
learned about all about machine learning and all that stuff, and then basically got myself into it.
Amazing. Amazing. So you do have the experience, you do have the know-how, and you also have a part of security in you. That's amazing.
Sure.
Well, I'm going to shut up now, and the stage is yours. Let me bring your screen also
Sure.
upstage. Anything you need, please write me on the private chat,
Sure.
and I will be there. Yeah, you're driving. Thank you very much,
Thank
Tashgar,
you.
my friends.
Yeah. Thank you. So today we're going to talk about Autogen. Actually, it's a framework developed by Microsoft for building agents. Let's quickly take a look at the agenda that we have for today. I'm going to go through a simple of Azure AI first. Like, I mean, what does Azure actually offer us? And what are the agentic frameworks that possibly one could use? And what is Autogen? What is an agent? And we'll dig down deep into the Autogen framework, and I'll do some demos of Autogen too at the same time. How to build a simple one and a more complicated agent framework. So before we get started, so this is Azure AI, basically. Azure AI, what does it contain? It's the basic class, basically, if I may say, for foundation model. We have the Azure AI services, we have the Azure machine learning, and we also have the responsible AI tooling, which you don't see everywhere else too, sort of thing. So it's the foundation of it, like basically how you could use these things is through Azure AI Studio. Going to the next slide. So, so what do we have like basically for Azure AI? We have the model catalog. You have a lot of models to choose from. You have the foundation models over there too. Model as a service, the GPU model family, the open source ones too. You could use open source ones. It's not just OpenAI. You could use DeepSeek too, actually, DeepSeek R1. There's the small language models too. So the small language model 5.3 and all these other ones that Microsoft has helped develop too. And then below that, you got the Azure AI services, you got the Azure OpenAI services, Azure AI search, the AI speech, the language, the translator, the vision, and all that. And on the machine learning, you have the prompt flow, you have the model tuning and model training. So you could train all your models over there. Next slide. Now, Again, as you might know already, we are best buddies with OpenAI. So I really want to emphasize actually over here, the real principle of Microsoft is actually really to empower every person and organization on the planet to achieve more and using AI. So below it, you got the Azure OpenAI services. It's OpenAI, but it has its own flavor of I would say basically protection of it, responsibility of it, so that you cannot ask it questions that are like that are in not appropriate, basically. So there's a protection because we are serving enterprise level customers. So we want to make sure that we are enterprise friendly too. So we have the GPU GPT-4, we have the Turbo, we have the 4.0, which I'll use is the 4.0 Mini actually for later on in the demo. We got the GPT 3.5 Turbo, and for imaging we have DALI and Whisper for translation and transcripts. So when we talk about agentic property, what is agentic property that we talk about? So OpenAI has a way of talking about agentic properties. There is basically something called low agentices. So basically what it means by low agentices is email filtering. We have content generation, music recommendation. These are most like MLs, basically. You know about if you like this music, you might actually like this music. If you like this movie, you might potentially like this other movie. So basic customer chatbot that you see. And then on the right-hand side, you see high agenticness. So what are those? Is basically the self-driving cars, the AI-powered cybersecurity defense, so automatically defending you, the adaptive learning platform, and the financial trading bots. So these are more like independent sort of thing and figuring out what to do with it. And when we look at the benefits of agents, sort of like you could infuse more capability of AI processing within the flow of what you have. So you could think of a flow of like some program that you have, but you could actually inject into it some kind of AI into it to actually maximize your journey of the true value of AI. You could drive new goals. You could adapt your native applications to actually reshape the knowledge of your work. So you could do a lot more with it. So going forward, so what is the reasoning evolution that we have seen for AI, basically agents specifically? The very first one that you have seen is like when ChatGPT came out was when you ask a question on a topic, what is the highest building in the world? You get a response basically from the knowledge that it trained from the neural networks and everything else from the LLM. It could actually generate you a answer sort of thing based on the question you asked. But what now we are moving very fast. We are going to more of an agentic reasoning where it's more like not just one way of reasoning stuff, but more into a way of like asking a question more in the real world. Let's say you ask us a question on a topic and the agent actually goes out and researches it, finds a first draft, and it could pass it to somebody, some other agent to actually make a revision of it, and actually to pass it to some other agent to make a holistic view of like, is this security capable or is it violating any copyrights? You could do all of that stuff, and then it would actually pass it back to you to say that here I've summarized all of these stuff. These are the things that we have got. And at the end of the day, this is more a holistic view rather than just answering you a simple question of like a prompt, as in like, hey, you know what? What's the tallest? How tall is Eiffel Tower or something? This is more like doing a real. Think of it as a team of people that you could potentially have to actually go and like research something, refine it, which is very normal process of human too. When you have a team of people, they build something, they refine it, they reiterate it, and then they finally come up with a certain solution. So we also realize that actually there's no one size fit all. Basically, there are many different architectures. If you think about microservices, it's pretty much the same. Agentic architectures have different patterns too. So not every microservices fits into everything, and nor does agentic framework fits into everything too. So you have to think about design factors. What are the design factors? What are the behavioral needs that I need? What are the orchestration difference that may lead you to different framework and architecture? So you have to consider all of these things before you go into any of the agentic frameworks. Now, you see over here, basically on the left-hand side, you see like, here are all the ones that Microsoft developed. There's LangChain also too, which is developed open source, which is very popular too at the same time. We got Semantic Kernel, which is Microsoft built. We have AutoDev and Autogen too. So these are some of them you might not have even heard about, Dylan and all these other ones, basically. And today, actually, I remember there was another API from OpenAI, basically. So again, like I mean, AutoDev. If you talk about AutoDev, it's actually a foundation research paper inspired for the creation of Copilot. So GitHub Copilot is actually based on the AutoDev, and there's all these other frameworks that are developed. So there's also libraries like React. So React over here and Meta GPT, they all have like instrumental defining inter-agent collaborations. So they're actually able to define agents and all of this stuff behind it. But today we're going to talk about Autogen. So before we talk about Autogen, we have to define what is an agent, basically. What is an agent that let us define the things. So if you think about it, an agent actually has a couple of things that actually you talk about. It has to have a persona. So there's a persona for the agent that it determines the personality of the agent. And there is models that you potentially use. You could point it to a LLM of some sort or SLM if you want to. Any LLM, OpenAI or Azure OpenAI or to Olama or anything else. There's databases that you could point to. You could say that, hey, you know what? Now I have a repository of all these information of customer information that I want from a database or a knowledge graph. Here's people who are connected to other customers. And you could actually add some functionality to it. So you could actually add some API calls to it, functions or tools that you could actually add to it, or interpretations of some things. So these are some of the external things that you potentially add to increase the functionality of it. So today I'll show you also in the demo how to actually do the functions too. So going forward, what is Autogen? There's a couple of versions of it. The latest version is 0.4. So Autogen is actually a framework developed by Microsoft. It is event-driven. It has asynchronous by design, async messages you send to each other. So if you know about the actor framework, actually underneath it is actually the actor framework. It's scalable and distributed. Again, if you know about the actor framework, you know it's distributed. It supports conversational programming. It has runtime that handles message delivery. It has a low-level API, which is the core, which is the using almost like an actor model to actually talk to the API if you need low-level accessibility. And there's also a high-level one, high-level API doing an agent chat. Today, I won't go through the core one. I'll go through the agent chat because I want people to understand it. Maybe in the future, you could listen to one of the talks that I'll be doing, going deep down into the core. It has built-in and community extensions. So you could build your own extension and you could have community extensions that you could potentially use too. So if you look at the framework, this is a diagram of the framework that you could see. So you got the core API. This is the foundation. The foundation layer offering scalability, event-driven actor framework to create agentic workflows. Now on top of it, you got the agentic chat API. So this is the built on top of the core and is offered task-driven sort of thing. You could add tasks to it. It's a high-level framework that you build on top of it. This framework is actually the agent chat. It's a replacement of version 0.2. So you might see a lot of 0.2 out there too, in like if you Google it and stuff, or Bing it. You might find a lot of Autogen 0.2 code base sort of thing. But today we're going to go to 0.4. So I'll show you what the differences are and stuff. On the left, actually, you see the bench. Bench is actually a way for you to actually agents to compare the performance across tasks and environments. So you could actually benchmark it. And you got the Autogen Studio, which is sort of a low code, no code sort of thing that you could actually launch and actually build these agents too. I personally prefer Visual Studio Code because I'm a developer, and I like to show you like that. But the Studio actually offers you quite a bit too. It's quite easy to use. And then extensions, you could build your own extensions, and your apps are basically over here. I won't be covering the Magentic one today. Maybe in the future I'll cover it too. So here is how we define an agent. So if you're gonna, this is Python code. So basically what you first do is actually you need to find where the model is. What model are you gonna plan to use? So here you can see that I'm using the Azure OpenAI chat completion client. I'm telling it where's the deployment. I've deployed in Azure right now, my own Azure subscription, using a GPT-4o Mini and it's just the demo one that I've labeled for the deployment. I have the Azure endpoint, so the endpoint, which is a secret. I have the model that I wanted to use, the GPT-4. The model is different than deployment. The deployment, I could call it ABC or whatever that I want to do. The model is the one that I really want to point to, which is the model that I plan to use, what is the API version, and the API key, which is a secret. Now, how do you define an agent within Autogen? Basically, here's a simple one called assistant agent. It's a general agent that I'm going to be trying, and I need to point it to what is the model client, which is I defined it up here, and a description of the agent. You're a helpful assistant agent, and the system messages. If you have tried any LLMs, you would know the system messages is a way that actually define what the model is. You are a helpful assistant that can answer questions and provide information. So this is the way you define a simple agent. Once you've defined this, then you could actually do something like this. You could do agent.runStream. So you could define a task to it. How tall is the tallest building in the world? So you could ask it something like this, which is a normal chat GPT kind of thing too. You can ask it a question, but here you're using agents. And it might tell you that actually, you know what, as of October 23rd, 2023, it's basically the tallest building is Burj Khalifa in Dubai, basically. And it stands at whatever height. So it has that knowledge within the GPT-4 mini, so it's able to give me that information. Now, if I ask it for a real-time weather sort of thing, then it's going to tell me, hey, I'm not able to tell you the weather or what is the temperature in Athens, Greece right now. So it would suggest me certain things because the LLM does not have any knowledge of how to retrieve weather, it changes all the time. It's been trained using certain information, but it's able to answer me like, hey, you know what, you might want to use a search engine to look for that information. But using an agent, I want to be able to actually define a function or two so they could grab the weather. So let's take a look at adding a function sort of thing. So you see on top over here, I'm just defining a weather async function in Python, saying get weather. And I could pass in a city and it will return me a string. What I'm returning is the weather in the city is 42 degrees and sunny. So this is by default. If I want to actually use this, I could use it. This is a very simple function. But if I really want to use an API for it, here you can see that I'm using get API weather. This is another function that I could potentially use. Same thing, I pass in a city, returns a string. And in here, I'm calling the Python library, which actually is creating a client. And then the client is going to call get city. It's going to get me the weather. Then I could also return the weather if the city is weather temperature, degrees in whether it's sunny or not. So this is hard coded, which it actually can return every time. And this is really getting the API. And in here, the agent, remember how we defined it? I'll show you a demo later on too. The weather agent, I could say that, okay, get me the API of the weather. I'm using this one rather than this one. Then actually every time that I ask it the question, it would have able to tell me the correct answer of what it is, the weather of Athens, Greece right now. For example, here, I actually did this. What is the weather in Istanbul? And it actually goes, you can see the function is calling get API weather, and it executes it and gets the weather in Istanbul 16 degrees and partly cloudy. So again, the response that I get back from the agent is weather in Istanbul 16 degrees Celsius and partly cloudy. You could see that it actually changes the capital letters and all that stuff too when it actually gets back to it. So this is great. Like, I mean, I'm able to add a function to it, and I'm able to actually query the LLM directly and is able to go out and actually grab the information that I want to and actually return that with an API. So that's great that I have this extra functionality to it. But what about if I want to actually do more collaboration, more with other ones? So there are other conservable agents that you could actually have agent customization, calling one agent to the other agent. You could actually have multiple agents to it. So how do I actually do these flexible conversation? You could have join chat, you could have hierarchical chat too. So a simple one of actually doing it is actually called a round robin group chat. So basically, every agent is going to go through the summary of what has been described and go through every one of them. So if you think about a round robin, could be a blog writing, for example. You could have one agent that generates a blog on a certain topic. So let's say cooking Greek food. So it could be creating an agent of cooking Greek food, creating a recipe, and you could create another agent for actually looking at if that recipe has like allergies or something like that. And you could translate the recipes into different languages and all that stuff. and then it could actually summarize it by a summary agent or something. And then you always have to have a termination for the agent. So you need to say that, okay, when does the round robin actually start? So you can actually say that terminate is the text that I'm looking for when it terminates. So this is the simple one that actually goes through it. There are also different kinds of round robins that you could potentially use. You could actually use a human in the loop. So you could say that, okay, I'm running a round robin. There's agent one, agent two, agent three, but the termination is going to be something that I'm going to be providing from the user. So when it actually gets the information, it processes through to the user, and the user or the application could say that not good enough, or I need something more, and it could pass back the information and continue on with the stuff until I'm happy with what it is. So this is a way of human in the loop, which Autogen actually provides you to at the same time. There's also the other one, request user input. So it might be that actually you have to use the user proxy agent over here. They are doing something, the agents are doing something, but it actually needs certain help from the user. So it can actually come back to the application or the user to say that, hey, you know what? I need something more from you. Maybe it's the weather. What's the temperature? 16 degrees. You could provide it, and it could run through it again more, sort of thing. So it's waiting for an input from a user, basically, human in the loop. So there are certain ways to update it. So it's not automatic. Everything is all right. So maybe you could think of it as a car too. So it's waiting for, there's a red light, but there's a green light. You can't see it. It's waiting for a person to actually really like put on the gas or something like that to actually let it know that it's safe to go or something. Or it sees that there's too much traffic, there's a traffic accident, what to do next sort of thing. So it might ask for user input. So that's another way to do it. So now we're going to move on to demo, which is the interesting part. Let's see. Let me know if you, I should be able to share this on the screen. Move my Visual Studio over maybe. There we are. So let me start with this one first. So let me zoom in a bit. So to begin with, you would have to create a virtual environment in Python. Clear this out. You would have to create a virtual environment. You would activate the virtual environment. And to install Autogen, you would actually use pip to install it. If you're into Node.js and stuff, you'll understand that you could use Node to install extra libraries. Pip is actually the or NuGet for .NET people. So basically, you could install the libraries for it. So here, how you install it: you install Agent Chat, and then you have the option of extensions. Basically, you want to install the Azure extension or the OpenAI extension. I'm using the Azure OpenAI extension over here. So let's go down. From here, you can see that I'm importing the assistant agent. I'm also importing the console and the Azure OpenAI client. I'm importing the async IO. Here, I'm loading the .environment, which actually reads the environment file that I have over here, the OS and the Python header. So here, it actually loads up the environment, what I have for the environment, the access keys. So I have Azure Endpoint, Azure API, which I actually have over here, which I'm going to be loading in. So now, as I showed earlier in the demo, you have the model client. The Azure OpenAI Cloud Client requires what is the deployment. I've showed earlier that GPT-4 Mini Autogen demo that I'm using for my deployment in Azure, and the Azure Endpoint that I need to use, the model that I'm planning to use, and the preview and all that stuff, and the API key. So here, I'm going to define a simple function. I've showed this earlier too. This is the weather. City is 22 degrees and sunny. Rather than saying 42 degrees, I'm saying 22 degrees. So you can return the weather is 22 degrees. And in here, I'm going to be, actually, let me just jump to the simple one. It's the same. So I've defined the agent. The agent is general agent, and it's using the model client, helpful agent, what you're going to be doing. And it's going to be running that, it's going to be running a simple question and answer sort of. So I'm going to ask it how tall is the tallest building in the world, and I'm going to ask it what is the current weather in Athens, Greece. So these are the two ones. So I've defined the model, what is the agent that's going to be the model that I'm going to be using, the agent that I plan to use, a helpful assistant agent. It doesn't do anything, no functions yet. So ignore the function. I'll go through the function next thing. So I'm going to ask it the weather. First, I'm going to ask it what the tallest building is. So it should be able to answer me because the LLM has the information. But when I ask it weather, it should not be able to answer me. Let me just run this. So here you can see. So the tallest building in the world is Burj Khalifa in Dubai, blah, blah, blah. What is the current weather in Athens, Greece? And I'm not able to get the real weather. So that's what it's not able to do. So now if you jump to the app, basically, where I've defined the weather, get weather, which always returns 22 degrees. And I'm going to use the get weather. Here, I created the assistant agent again. And I'm using the model client, your helpful agent, and it's able to use a reflection tool, and it's also able to use a stream. So I'm going to say, what is the weather in, let's choose another city, Istanbul, or let's say Paris. Okay. What is the weather in Paris? So let's run this. So again, you can see the weather in Paris, 22 degrees. So it's always going to say it's 22 degrees. Remember that we actually said that the agent's going to be using get weather, which always returns the same thing. But now I'm going to change it to API weather, which if you look at the API weather, it's the same code, Python client. It creates a client. It uses the library Python library. And then it's able to say that, okay, get me which city that you want it for the weather. And the weather is whatever weather. It's going to return me a string, basically. So I'm going to save this, and I'm going to run this. Let's run this and see what's the weather in Paris. So you can see over here, it's calling the city Paris and calling the weather agent. The weather in Paris is 8 degrees and light rain. So again, it's able to actually answer me that it's 8 degrees and in Paris. Not so nice, actually. So maybe we could change it to something else. To 10 degrees. I'm going to say that, and let's see what's the weather in Athens, Greece. Probably similar to Istanbul. So it's 19 degrees, not too bad, partly cloudy. So here I'm showing you how to actually include a function into it that you could call an external API to actually provide you with extra functionality into your agent. Now let's go through another example, which I'm going to do is multiple agent, for example. So here I'm using, again, the Azure OpenAI. You could use the OpenAI chat completion tool. It's up to you. And I'm creating pretty much the same thing, the model client, what I'm using, the ChatGPT 4o mini. And what I'm creating over here is multiple agents because I want it to be round robin and telling me such things. So the first agent I'm going to say is planner agent because it's going to be planning trips for me that I'm going to be doing. So you're a helpful assistant and planned. You're a helpful assistant that can suggest a travel plan for a user based on their request. So here, remember, you have to define really clear things to the agents to actually answer you properly. Then I have a local agent. The local agent suggests local activities for places to visit. So it's going to suggest me authentic and interesting local activities or places to visit for a user utilizing context provided from the information. Okay. And then we also have a language agent. So we might want to go somewhere that actually requires you to have a certain language that you need to know, certain language. So again, here's a language agent that actually provides me your helpful agent that can review travel plans, provide feedback on important critical trips, and how to address languages and communication challenges for a given destination. If the plan already includes language tips, you can mention the plan is satisfactory with rationale. So again, the system is very, very defined. There's also a hotel agent. Again, you're a helpful agent that suggests hotels in a family-friendly area and easy to commute with public transportation for a family of 4 to travel plan. Basically, based on the travel plan, you should be able to provide some hotels that are really good for you. The summary is basically where it grabs all of this information and it's going to send you back this information to say that, okay, I've gone through all of this stuff. Now here's the summary of like, what are the agents basically telling me? So again, you can see that helpful assistant agent that is able to tell me, take all the suggestions and advise me for the other agents that provided detailed final travel plan. You must ensure that the final travel plan is integrated and complete. Your final response must be complete plan. When the plan is complete and all the prescriptions and all the perspective and integrated, you can respond with terminate. Remember how I said that you have to terminate the round robin? There needs to be a way to terminate it. So here you can see that here's the summary report. It's going to grab the hotel, the language, and all these other travel plans, and I'm going to put it into an array: travel plan, local agent, language agent, hotel agent, travel summary plan. And the termination condition is termination, which is terminate, which the summary agent is going to give me terminate. So here I'm just going to say, okay, plan me a 4-day trip to Doha, Qatar. Let's see how this works. So it's going to plan a 4-day trip to Doha, Qatar. So it's going to tell me the first of all, it's going to say, let's see, it's going to plan me the plan, day 1, day 2, day 3. So that looks pretty good. Arriving, exploring, morning, what should you do? Afternoon, what should you do? Day 2, morning, visit the village and adventure desert experience, morning, evening, day 4, leisure, and departure, basically. Let's go down. So now it's going to be the local agent based on what it actually received, because it's going through a round robin. You arrive on the international airport, hotel, blah, 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 Marriott, and suggesting all the local things that you could potentially do. And if you scroll down more, the language agent is going to tell me, okay, what are the languages that could do? Language basic. The Arabic is the official language of Qatar. Well, you could speak English over there. So it tells you how to say hello and all that. So less frequent places is going to suggest all of that stuff. So you can see each agent actually doing its best to actually answer some of the things. Overall, looks satisfied. The hotel agent is going to tell me, like, okay, how to say hi, basic greetings, dining experience, shopping, the souk, scarification, menus, culturals, final notes. Didn't quite travel, give me the information that I want for hotels, but maybe the travel summary might be able to. So you arrive at the airport. This is the summary, basically. Check into your hotel. So it includes the hotel, Ritz-Carlton. Scroll through Corniche. Visit the Museum of Islamic Arts. Souk, visit the souk. Day 2, Heritage, the Cultural Village, Pearl of Qatar, National Museum. So again, it gives me all of that. It's round robin. Every one of them is telling me some of these things, and the summary basically goes through it. Transportation, use taxi or ride sharing. It gave me the Arabic phrases of how to say hello and all that stuff. Cultural sensitivity, when taking pictures of religious site, always ask for permission. There you go. So it terminates. So now you can see that multiple agents are actually working with each other to actually make sure you finally get a response that you want to do. So the last demo that I wanted to show is actually great. Like, I mean, I want to explore how to actually, I don't want to use Azure OpenAI. I want to use some other agents that are running on my local machine. How do I actually use the local machine one? So I actually have a demo for that one too. So let me just pull up my local one. So here, rather than using the Azure OpenAI chat client, let me just zoom in. That's clear. Rather than using the OpenAI chat client, I'm using LM Studio. I don't know how many people have used the LM Studio, but you could actually run it. So here you could see that I'm using LM Studio with MetaLlama. So I'm actually loaded LM Studio with it, pointing to localhost, port 1234. And I have to provide model information. So vision, I'm going to say mode, JSON output is going to say false, family is unknown, function calling is true. Now, the only thing that I find for this one is basically when I tried to run it, the function actually didn't quite work. So somehow it was not able to get the function properly. So I'm going to try to run it one more time, but first I need to actually start the LM Studio. So let me launch LM Studio. So if anybody has seen LM Studio looks something like this, that you could actually run your own model, local server. So I'm going to select the model you can run. So you can see there's a lot of models you can run. You can run Phi 3, you can run Mistral, you can run all those stuff. So here I'm going to run the Llama 3. So it's going to load up. So it's running on my local machine. If I want to try things out on my local machine first, to actually try it, what I've seen so far is like some of the local ones runs okay. It's all up to your experimental. But usually the ones, 04, Mini, and all those stuff run better than the local ones. You might want to explore Olama and all these other ones too. So right now, is the server started? Yeah, server started. Let's try to run our code, local one. So here I'm using the local one, as you could see, pointing to local. Hopefully it will work. Let's run this. So what is the weather in Istanbul? It's going to use the weather agent. So you can see it's a lot more slower too. And I'll show you LM Studio afterwards. So again, see, it's not using the 22 degrees or 42 degrees and sunny. It's trying to get back something from the agent. It's kind of slow. See, as my knowledge cut off in real time, humid, blah, blah, blah. That's my experience. So if I look at the LM Studio, you could see that it's actually returning this. It's hitting over there and trying to get the weather using the LM Llama and trying to stream all those responses back to me. So that's one way to actually look at how you could actually potentially use a local LLM and with Autogen to actually play around with it. So now let me jump back to my slides. So here we're done with the demo. And I wanted to share some resources. I'll share these slides with you and you will be posted. So all this, all the GitHub, you could go to autogen.jh, aks.ms. The Discord, there's a blog, there's all these examples. There's Autogen for .NET too. It's not as advanced as the Python one, but eventually we'll get there. There's videos, there's Studio, there's design patterns that you could potentially use. There's notebooks that you could potentially use. There's all these links would be shared with you. There's a web server agent that could serve to the web. And that's pretty much it from my side. I don't see any questions so far. Let's see.
Great, amazing. No, I cannot see any sessions as well. As well.
Yep.
Thank you
Do
so
you have
much
any
for your.
questions? How about you?
I could have many questions,
Hmm,
but I'm taking care of the whole event,
true, true.
so I will connect with you, and I want to rewatch the stream in my uh, be
Spare time.
quiet
Yeah,
and yes, and watch it because it is a very interesting aspect for me, the autogen. As I told you earlier, I always wanted to engage, and now your session is a gold mine for me.
no problem.
So yeah, I'm going to watch it again. I will connect with you on LinkedIn. Do you have the GitHub link available so I can post it in our global
So
chat?
for AutoGen, actually, you could go to. Let me just share it. Oh, thank you,
Uh,
Ahmed.
yes,
So
thank you,
I'll put
Ahmed.
it in the comments. Let's see. I'll put it in the private chat. Actually, here is linked microsoft.github.io/AutoGen. So
Great.
actually, if you go
Yeah,
over to share the screen, so if you go over to this URL, microsoft.com.github.io/autogen says stable, you should see the autogen. So you're using 0.49, which is 0.2 was the older version, but you could click on get started and actually has a tutorial of how to get started with autogen
yes.
agent chat, the installation, quick start, everything is there.
I went up to the point to get the UE running, and that's it. So
But
now
you
I
don't
can
need the
get.
UI. I mean, you
Yeah,
could actually use,
I
if you
know.
use VS Code, I think if you start with VS Codes, get the core concepts understanding,
Yeah,
then
yeah,
go to the UI, might be like, oh, okay, now it makes sense. Because I think the UI is really made for like low code, no code. It kind
yeah.
of hides this stuff from you. So I
True.
think going with how it actually worked with the agent chat first, getting the idea of it, oh, okay, this is how it works in Visual Studio, then try the UI might be a better option.
Yeah. Now let me ask you something.
Sure.
As you may have seen already, there is the new agent service in AI Foundry.
Mhm.
Uh, do you think there is any comparison between these two tools, or we are talking about different apples and oranges, for example? Can you can you I don't know speak about this? Can you tell us anything about that?
So you mean
Uh,
AF, like AI Foundry is actually, think of it as a repository of all the all the models that you could
Yeah,
potentially put into it.
they have I don't know if you know that they have created the new AI agent service,
Mhm.
and it's very easy to deploy now agents. Of course, it is in preview. Maybe you have not seen it, so you may watch it, and
Sure,
you you can come to a
I
conclusion later on that.
I haven't seen it, but I have tried Copilot Studio, the
Yeah,
Copilot from Microsoft sort of thing.
yeah, yeah,
Now, Copilot Studio again, it's a low code, no code. It could do a
yeah,
lot of stuff for you, but it's not like I'm the kind of person who likes to build its own Lego, right? So I
yeah.
like
Me
to
too.
put my Lego as the way. But
Me
when you
too.
use low code, no code, yeah, it could achieve quite a bit. But
Yeah,
there are certain things that it just you can't do it easy.
true,
But when you
true.
have the real thing to actually grab onto it and like, hey, I actually want to put this piece rather than
Yeah,
this other piece, and then
yeah,
it actually makes these kinds of frameworks, the agentic frameworks, actually makes a lot more sense. So
yeah, yeah.
if you have
Agree.
coding experience, strongly suggest you just go with the code.
Yeah, I do. And the AI agent service, uh, while it has the user interface in Foundry, it's actually accessible through its own SDK. It uses the inference approach on AI, and yeah, I think I will try your session and try to recreate the whole thing and
Sure,
come back to you in LinkedIn, and we can
sure,
discuss it in
sure,
more detail probably.
sure. No problem. You're welcome.
Wow, thank you so much, Tasgar. That was amazing. We are so grateful you could be with us today. Hopefully, we will see you in another event of ours. And if I come to Istanbul, of course, I will ping you.
Sure, ping me
Uh,
when you're in Istanbul or when you're in Greece, you're in Athens, right?
yeah, yeah, if you
Sure,
come, by all
yeah,
means, please ping me.
sure,
We can go out
sure,
for a coffee or something. Yeah.
sure. Sounds good.
Thank you so much. Bye bye.
Bye. Take care.
Have a great one.